without more ado, very happy. Annemarie Field.
Right, thank you. Right, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Right. When I was asked to do a talk, I must admit, I thought, oh my gosh, what am I going to talk about? And then there was, can you do a PowerPoint presentation? I wouldn't know how to do a PowerPoint presentation. I'm not very good at that kind of thing, so I'm just going to talk. I've got some pictures, I've got some layouts and things like that of the paper that we use, because I think it's important that people know how much the Herald has changed over the years. Thank you for the introduction, and thank you to everyone for coming out tonight, because it's a bit miserable out there today. And I didn't know whether many people would turn up wearing masks. Because this afternoon we've had quite an exciting day at work. We've had coronavirus, we've had another part of the Claremont Hotel has fallen down during the night, which was, very sad. And then at 3 o'clock this afternoon, 2 of the schools sent home letters to their parents to say that their teachers had been affected by the coronavirus at Ratton and Ocklinge. So it's been very busy. Anyway, so just to go back a few steps, I did start work the day after I left school. It wasn't on the Eastbourne Herald, it was on a paper at the time called the Eastbourne News. And the person that signed my indentures when I was 16, 17 was, you'll remember, Peter Austin. And I went away and I did all the training, and I did have 1 O-level, that was it. Did all the training, qualified, and then in 1989, I think it was, 1990, same year Ian Gale died. I don't know whether many of you remember that. I went to the Herald, excuse me, and I was there until 96, went off travelled for 4 years, had my children, and went back in. So although I've sort of been on and off, really, since 1985, and in 2005, I think it was, again, Peter Austin was the editor, and I said, I want to go back. So, I've been back. My daughter was a year when I went back to work. My kids have been to more fires, more murder scenes than most rookie coppers, but I've always taken them with me to work. So what I always like to start by saying is, anyone, any idea how many reporters we have on the Herald? 3. Yeah, basically 3. 2 or 3. So there's me, who's been there since the year dot. We've got another girl called Jenny, and we've just taken on a trainee called Logan. Now, when I first started back there, we had 15 reporters, and we also had 5 photographers. We had an editor, we had sub-editors who would lay the papers out. We were very well staffed, actually, very well staffed. Today we don't have any photographers. We like I say, we barely have reporters. Everything now is, we're encouraged to ask people to send stories in, photographs in. Everyone's a photographer because everyone has a phone on their camera. So it's, a camera on their phone, sorry. So it's very much, they call it user-generated content, and that's what people are asked to send in. Years ago, like I say, we used to have people that would hand design the pages. In fact, I'm a terrible one for saving stuff out of skips and stuff like that, because we've moved, at the Herald, we've moved around quite a lot. And this is Arthur Beckett, who started it all off many moons ago, when it was Beckett Newspapers. And so I managed to save his portrait. I've managed to save that, and I managed to save the sign from Number 1 Commercial Road, which was where we had our printing presses. I also managed to save the sign that was up outside the Herald, and it was on a garden shed for a while. It's about 10 foot by 4 foot, and I couldn't get that in the car. The Herald is a massive part of my life, like I say, years ago, we used to have sub-editors who would hand design the pages, everything else. We don't have that anymore. What we have now, and I've printed some out, and I'll pass them around, excuse me, and I specifically bought the one that we've got, Peter Pymont. Do many of you, know Peter Pymont? So that's a page from the Herald. What we have nowadays is we don't have sub-editors who will hand design the pages. What we have is every single page is templated, unfortunately. Actually, if I give those to you and then you can... So every single page is templated. So you'll have a story on the page with a photograph, then you'll have another story with no photograph, and what you have to do, it's a bit like doing a jigsaw. You have to physically fill that in, and we don't have anybody to do it by hand anymore. You have to write the exact number of words. If you don't write enough, you've got big white space. If you write too much, it's bust, really. Same with the photographs. Some pages have a landscape template, and other pages will have a portrait. So you've got to make sure that you've got, say for example, the Claremont Hotel. The vast majority of those photographs are landscape, and I'm writing a story this week about the Claremont Hotel. So I need a landscape photo, and the templated box only allows for 400 words. So I can't write any more than that, I can't write any less than that. It has to be 400. And it's soul destroying, really, when you've got a really, really good story and you sort of want to go to town with it. The only exception in the Herald is the nostalgia pages, which is what I do. We used to call it looking back many moons ago, but it is now nostalgia. What they wanted to do in this great new world of Johnston Press or JPI Media, which is what Beckett's now is, they want to centralise everything. So they would have somebody in Horsham writing the nostalgia for the Hastings paper, the Eastbourne paper, but it would be Pan Sussex. And I just thought, no, I can't do that, because one of the most popular things in the paper is the nostalgia pages. I love it, and the vast majority of that is contributed. I've been very lucky recently, and I've brought some photographs in as well. A former police officer has brought me in some photographs. So there's Prince Charles, I think, when he came to King's Country Nightclub, was it? Does anybody remember King's? Yeah, is that where the 3 degrees came, didn't they? The grammar school fire, that is going back. Lionel, when was the grammar school fire? Was that 1977, I think? And I don't know whether anybody lives in Old Town. Actually, Peter, you might remember this. I will... They're lovely. They're black and white photos, so they're super.
Thank you.
Den Hill. Remember that?
No.
Yeah, it was a tractor that went over. So yeah, they're just some old photographs. I don't know whether anybody saw the Herald last week. It's another one of the fire. But we had the Booths Hotel fire, which was, I grew up in Pevensey Road, and there we go. When Pevensey Road was full of hanging baskets and lovely guest houses and everything else. And I remember my father waking me up and he said, Annemarie, we've got to get out. There's a fire in Booths Hotel behind. So I think the Booths Hotel photos might make their way down. Israel Finn, yes, that's right. He was a manky little chap. He used to drive this little green car about, and yeah, it was a doss house. It was a doss house. And I think an Irish labourer died. I don't know, were you on the Herald at the time? That was a little bit before my time. So yeah, and I've got all these photographs that are slowly coming in, and like I say, they're the most popular part of the paper. Yeah, so nowadays the paper has changed beyond belief. Like I say, everything is templated. These are templated front pages. So there's no, years ago you could do nice big cutouts, everything like that. You could do all sorts. Now you can see they're all pretty much standard, which is a little bit of a shame. I've brought the Sussex Express along because we also do the Sussex Express. We do the Hastings Observer series. We do, over the west of the county, we have the West Sussex papers. So we have Worthing and all those titles as well. So this will give you, an idea. That is a templated page. So basically I was told with that particular one, write 800 words and 3 photographs. So it's hard when you want to be creative and you want to sort of write more and more.
What about the justification? The justification at the end of the lines?
The justification at the end of the...
Well, when you write 800 words, you have to justify it, don't you? So you get...
It does it all automatically.
Does it really?
Yeah, it does it all automatically.
So without altering your script at all?
Yeah. We also have to write our own headlines. Years ago, when Peter was editor, Peter would write the headlines and it was wonderful. But now we have to fit a headline into a template, and that's not easy either, because you've got to get the right amount of words into the headline so it makes sense. We have to fill in the little boxes underneath all the photos. We have to fill in what we call bylines, so it would be by Annemarie Field or by whoever. So, and it's all done. It's all electronically sent down the line to Portsmouth, and it's printed in Portsmouth. We go on, I think, after the Sun, which is about 2 o'clock in the morning, on a Friday morning. And then obviously all the papers come out on a Friday. Way back when I first started, it used to come out on a Saturday. And then we had the Wednesday paper as well, the Gazette. And then they changed that to a Tuesday. And by then they'd already changed the Herald to a Friday. So, very, very different. And these days, we have a website. I don't know whether many of you use the website. I gather it's not very easy to use. I would say years ago, we used to have 2 newspapers and a website. Now we have a 24/7 website and 1 newspaper a week. Everything is geared to the website, which is very sad when you're like traditional newspaper people like we are. It seems to me nowadays that nobody really gives a monkey's razoo about the paper. It's all about the website. So this morning, went in, they said, right, a large chunk of the Claremont's come down. We want it up on the website. We want it up on the website now. So that's it, you do it. Put it on Facebook, you put it on social media, and then you move on to the next thing, that was then, like the coronavirus, so, it was all coming sort of closer together. Then there was a teenager that died last week. Went to see his parents this morning. Get it on the website. Everything is geared towards the website because people don't want to wait until Friday. Years ago, people used to have to wait till Friday for the local paper to come out, but they want it now. My kids are the same. They want the news now, and they want it. Sometimes I wonder if we've reared a load of. I think that's the trouble. Actually, a lot of the time, I think children are so used to getting everything now that they go through life like that. Anyway, so that's how newspapers have changed. So it's very much website first, website first, website first. So moving on, what's happening to Eastbourne? Obviously, we've had Debenhams close, we've had TJ Hughes, Curzon, which is tragic, especially because somebody told me recently that the Everyman group was interested in the Curzon, but it would just take too much money to renovate it. Debenhams, I think, will be a positive thing. Well, I say positive. They'll knock it down. There's no doubt they'll knock it down. It's not listed, so they will knock it down, and I think there'll be retail on the ground and there'll be flats above. And it wouldn't surprise me if the council gets involved with that. TJ Hughes, they want to do something very similar. I don't know whether you've had David Tutt here to talk about things, so I might be repeating stuff. With TJ Hughes, they want to put all retail on the ground, Second floor, more retail. There's a place in London, in Victoria, and I can't think what it's called. It's a bit like a roundhouse, and it's quite bohemian. I'm not sure whether it'll work. And then they'll have a food court on the top, which is was it called Dale and Kearney? Was it TJ Hughes? Yeah, because that is a beautiful building. I did a story last week, went up to Cafe Belge, up the top, and all the traders in Terminus Road are furious, because if anyone's seen Victoria Mansions, it's horrendous. So they're trying to get their business rates reduced. They want proper signage. Some of the restaurants up there now will only open on a Saturday night, Friday and a Saturday night, because no one's going up there during the week. Because as well as all the hoarding and scaffolding and everything else, all the parking spaces have got skips in, or, you know, building stuff that Victoria Mansions want. So I do feel very, very sorry for the traders. The whole plan eventually, I think everybody's seen the town centre improvement scheme, and the plan eventually is to pedestrianise all the way down from Terminus Road, along past what was Debenhams. There'll be a turning point just where the Curzon is, and then it will go up. How it will go over Pevensey Road, I'm not quite sure, but the plan is to pedestrianise it all the way up to the top. But it's getting, and the County Council is on board to a certain extent, so which would be fantastic. It would be fantastic, but how far away is that going to be? I really, really don't know. As for the Claremont, one thing we've sort of been trying to get to the bottom of, I'm sure you'll remember the pier fire. Now that was a listed building, but that wasn't replaced. So what's to say that the owners of the Claremont, they could do exactly what Curd & Leisure did with the pier. They could take the money and run, and not necessarily replace it with. But I was talking to the structural engineer today from the Claremont, and he said he would be very, very surprised come Friday if there's actually any of the Claremont left, because this massive great part of it has come down, and still nobody has physically stepped foot within the court, you know, actually inside the building. It's all been done by drones because nobody can get in there. So quite what will happen to that, I'm really not sure. What would people like to see? Would they like to see the hotel rebuilt, or?
I'd like to see the road open.
Yes.
So Mr. Goldsar can carry on trading.
I think, have they closed off the pier again?
I think so.
Oh dear, yeah. The most important thing is, I think they've got to get the road open. And this is why a contractor was on site this morning. It's all been sorted. The planning application to park demolish went through on Friday night. It was granted. So they know that road has got to be reopened by Easter. And they've said, touch wood, live touching wood, they said it will be open by Easter. So fingers crossed. That is the most important thing. Incidentally, while I was talking to them this morning, they mentioned that this is the council. I live in Wealdon, so we have fortnightly waste collection service, but in Eastbourne you still have weekly. Yeah, that's changing. That's unfortunately. Yeah, they're bringing in fortnightly collections as from, I think, the end of the year. So, which is interesting. Anyway.
Food collection weekly and the other fortnightly.
Food collection?
Weekly at the moment, and the rest is fortnightly.
When you say food collection, what? Waste?
The food waste, yes.
Rubbish?
Yes, rubbish.
Yeah. So that's still weekly?
The rest of it
Is
and garden is fortnightly.
garden, yeah. But it will all go fortnightly. It will all go fortnightly, unfortunately, by this time next year. So what's happening to our lovely town? I mean, I'm very, very passionate about Eastbourne, and I hate it when I hear people moaning about the town centre, moaning about the beacon. I think we're very lucky to a certain extent, because there's not many seaside towns that have seen the level of investment that we have. I know the Congress Theatre and the Welcome Building is a little bit controversial. It's a lot of public money that's gone into that. But I do think with the Beacon, that's £96 million worth of private money, which is good. Langley Shopping Centre, again, that's a £7 million project. And I think that's good, because you have to sort of move with the times. It worries me the amount of stuff that the council is buying up. It worries me about how much money they're borrowing. I think they're up to 230 million now that they've borrowed, which is all well and good, borrowing, but it's not my, you know, well, I suppose it is, it'll be my children in 50 years' time. Some of these loans are 50-year loans, and someone's got to pay it back. And if you look at Hampden Park Retail, they call it Hampden Retail Park, the council bought it for 18 million, decided they had to spend 9 million on it, and now it's actually worth 13 million. So, and this is all borrowed money, and it really, really worries me for our future, you know, for the children, for the young people, is how it will be paid back. Because it will have to be paid back, yeah. What else have they bought recently? I found out the other day they'd bought Elm Park Mansions, which I didn't realise they'd bought that. They bought the stage door. And it's just trying to keep an eye on what they've bought and what they're doing. But like I say, I'm very passionate about Eastbourne, and I still think we're very lucky. I go to Brighton quite a lot, I go to Hastings quite a lot. I don't like the seafront there. I just think we're so spoiled. We are very, very spoiled. It's beautiful. The Sovereign Centre, I swim at the Sovereign Centre most mornings, and it's, yeah, I've seen tidier looking skips. It's very, it's dirty, it's dated. But again, if the council wants to do something with it, they've got to borrow another 25 million. And I think that is probably quite a few years away, any sort of new leisure centre for the town. What about the Crumbles? Do people, it's not called the Crumbles, is it? It's the Admiral Retail Park. So there's no cinema now there. And I do wonder what will happen to that eventually. We heard Marks and Spencer's were going in there. So we thought, oh, brilliant. But no, Marks and Spencer's have got no plans to go in there. So any questions? Any? Right, where's my microphone?
What do you think is the future? What do you think what do you think the future of the Herald is? Is it going to, as a weekly printed newspaper? Because I'm not that young, I'm 65. I only look at it online.
Yes, yeah.
I never buy it.
No.
I look at it every day though, so I get.
Oh, well, that's good.
I mean, on the you get the update.
Yeah. It saddens me, it really saddens me. And I do a lot of talks to university students and things like that, and I take along a copy of the Herald, and I say, if I'm standing here in 10 years' time with a physical product of the Herald, I will be really, really surprised. It will all go online, and it will all be behind a paywall eventually. I think it's only because of the demographic of Eastbourne. If you go shopping on a Friday morning, go to Sainsbury's, Tesco, everyone of a certain age, more mature people, they're putting a copy of the Herald in. But my kids, you know, they're not interested in newspapers. It's only people of our age that I think actually read a newspaper. You know, like you go and buy a Sunday paper or a Saturday paper. You never see young people with a newspaper, and I find that really, really sad. So yeah, I don't think, I would say now probably in 6-7 years' time, I don't think there'll be a physical product, which is heartbreaking. But papers are closing up and down the country, you know, all the time. It's very sad. But then that moves me on to another thing. It's like the people that don't read the Herald. Why don't you read the Herald? Is it because it's too expensive? Is it depressing? Is it all bad news?
Not enough time to read it. There's too much else to do.
There's too many big checks and too many cutting ribbons in it.
Do you think so?
And too many pictures with no captions under telling us who they are for the future.
I agree.
Oh.
That's very annoying from a historian's
And
point of view.
there's never anything about what goes on in the council. There used to be years ago attending meetings.
Yes.
You've got a good idea of what was really going on in the council, how things are being discussed and what's
Yeah.
going to come up next. We don't really see that anymore.
No, what we've recently started doing, we entered into an agreement with the BBC, and we've got what they call local democracy reporters. So page 20 and 21 now in the Herald it's all put together by the local democracy reporters. The whole deal was meant to be so that councils would be more transparent. So that those 2 pages should be full of everything like that. Me personally, I'm a bit sad. I check the planning applications and the public notices every Monday. I love it, especially the public notices. You can, and I will say that to the trainee reporters, you get so much information in the back of the paper. And online now, because the council has to put all the planning applications in. And that's how you often, that's how you find out about things like ESK, anything. So ideally, the local democracy reporters should be covering more. That said,
We take it every week.
yeah, look at pages 20 and 21.
We pay for it annually, so we
Yeah, you get it a bit cheaper.
Yes.
That said, when I put a council story online, I have another bee in my bonnet at the moment because the council accounts haven't been audited. Very, very late. And it's all because of the money that the council's borrowed. Deloitte wants more information, etc., etc. So they've not been audited. But when I put a story up about that, it doesn't get that many hits on the website. And we are, I'm interested in it, you're interested in it, and a lot of people are. But if it's not getting that many hits on the website, and that is all people care about, these people on a higher pay grade than me, that's all they seem to be interested in. Website hits. In fact, we get the website figures every day. We normally average about 40,000. Yesterday, we got 80,000. I think because of the coronavirus or something like that. But yeah, when you put up a story about the council, so people are like, oh, really? They don't seem... Yeah, yeah, but it's very much website hits.
I would say
It is, hatches, matches and dispatches. Indeed.
sometimes the letters seem to so verbose, but the columns are very narrow. About
The letters.
3 lines
Yeah.
each. And I think other papers have them wider and they don't look so bad.
Yeah, that's interesting point the ladies made about the letters page, about how...
They look very verbose. They go on and on and on. But there's about 2 or 3 words per line. So
Yeah.
is it not?
Yeah.
Everybody's asking questions that nobody can hear you back. I think
We're talking about the letters page.
Testing.
The letters page, they seem to be so verbose, they go one up and down the columns. There's seem to be like 2 or 3 words per line, and it's a strip. And I'm wondering how it, I know you've got the template, which makes a difference, but I thought other papers were a bit wider, and also it needs to be condensed more letters, not so verbose. Sometimes I think, oh, I give up, I'm not reading that one.
Yeah. Well, years ago, I mean, I personally don't think letters should be more than 200 words long.
No.
And yeah.
They need to get to the point.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But this is another thing nowadays. You talk about time. People don't write letters to the paper anymore. They don't, because they can voice their upset, their anger on Facebook, social media. We really, really struggle for letters. Like you say, well, for a start, people haven't got time. Can they be bothered?
Why don't you print all those that do get sent?
We do. What we what haven't we printed?
Oh, well, I've certainly submitted several by post and they've denied that they're...
Are you sure they got there?
It's just because somebody doesn't agree with one of them.
No, not at all. No, and I think Peter will back me up on this. We are. I like to think at the Herald. I mean, I work very closely with Laura, and we're not political animals. We're not raging Tories. We're not raging Lib Dem. We're not anything. I like to think that we have that we're fairly balanced and neutral. That's my personal opinion.
I think you were excellent in your study.
Hang on.
Oh,
Hang on.
come to you in a minute, Terry.
I think you were excellent in your recent neutrality in the election. Were you under any pressure at all?
No, not at all. No. In fact, Laura and I went to the count. We go to the count every single election. And even though our super boss, who's our managing editor, he doesn't want reporters at election counts because he doesn't think it's important. Whereas I think, especially people expect to see us there. And I like the buzz of it as well. So Laura and I we go out for something to eat beforehand, then we get to the election count, we've had a couple of glasses of wine, and it's all lovely. And I write the story beforehand. So that night I wrote 2 different stories. One, Stephen Lloyd, hangs on to his seat. The other one, Caroline Ansell has regained her seat. So they were both written, they both have photographs on, and literally it was just, when we got the announcement from upstairs, I just pressed publish. Fortunately, I pressed publish on the right one, because that could always be a bit like, ooh. And it's the same with the borough council elections. I think because we've done them so many times, we write them before. But no, there's never any pressure. The one thing people do ask a lot about is those awful raps, the political rap that we had. And again, that decision was made. It wouldn't have happened in your day, Peter, would it? But now it's all about the money.
Sorry, what do you mean by rap?
A political rap. So you've got your copy of the Herald. I'll just take this as an example. So you've got your copy of the Herald, but then the Conservatives have paid for a 4-page advert, and it's a wrap. So you pick it up, and it looks like it's.
You think it's the paper?
People think it's the paper. So they did that, I think not sure whether they did that in 2017, I'm not sure, but we managed to get away with it this time and we said no, because it just caused so much grief. The Lib Dems did take out a 2-page advert this time, and I think the Brexit Party did as well, but the rap the Conservative Party rap was dreadful. But again, it's made by people way on a higher pay grade than me, and they're making that decision up in Sheffield, and they don't realise it's us that get kicked in the shins over it. So, sorry, Terry.
Sorry. A couple of weeks back, there was an announcement that I saw before the paper about Eastbourne winning these gold awards. There was 2 awards, one for the Beacon,
Oh, yes.
and one for the Devonshire Quarter.
Yeah.
And it was a really good story, because I think it's quite extraordinary that in these times Eastbourne seems to have.
Yeah.
I know that it's a worry, the debt, etc. But I think, and so I was actually looking forward to the paper that day. But on the front page, I'm going back to your saying about bad news. On the front page of the Herald, it was £100,000 armed robbery. And the news about the Gold Awards,
It was
it was only a picture.
It was,
Just
with a
a
caption
story at all.
underneath.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I know.
So, bad news sells papers.
It sounds awful, but it does, because the sales for that week were very good.
Yeah.
And when it is, but when you look at how many hit, and this is all it's done on, Terry, it's depressing. But when they look at how many hits the theft of 10 Rolexes gets compared to the council and the Beacon winning an award, it's and that's what determines our front page, really. We don't decide Laura and I, probably till Thursday lunchtime. And we've got up until 4 or 5 o'clock. You know, if anything major happens, then we can push that deadline back. But it's true. It's what's got the most website hits. Not always, because some things will do better on the website than they will in the paper. And you know, you have to look at your target audience sometimes. But yeah, with the Rolex theft, that definitely did much better.
One thing that I've noticed, when I send in a review,
Yes.
frequently, in order, I suppose, to fit this template that you mentioned, they alter my headings. Now that once resulted in absolute nonsense. Someone had put a very long piece, which I hadn't put, which said something like, "School children score wonderful success in the Forêt Requiem." Now this was a case where the Forêt Requiem was performed by an adult choir, and the school children sang carols. Most people thought that an idiot called Robin Gregory.
Oh, Robin, I am sorry. I am sorry. Yeah. I don't know what happened that day. I really don't know what happened that day. But if you suggest a headline with your reviews, they will change it because it's got to fit. It's got to fit. Unfortunately, someone made a bit of a boo-boo that day, I think.
Even if it's wrong.
Our entertainments chap, let me just tell you now, our entertainments chap is, where is he? I think he's in Chichester. And he writes the entertainments pages for all the West Sussex papers, all the Mid Sussex papers, Hastings papers, Eastbourne. I don't think he's ever been to Eastbourne, which is such a shame. But then that's fine because I've never been to Chichester and I have no desire to go there at all. Yes, Lionel.
I've made a few notes here of a few things that frustrate me at the local research and history.
I'll sit down. We could be some time.
The first thing is there's 2 sets of page numbers within each paper. It doesn't consecutively go. Thank you, Chris. There's 2 sets of page numbers. I can't remember which part of the paper. It has a separate set of numbers in it.
Property, maybe?
I don't know, but it's very annoying.
Okay, I'll take that one on board.
And the dates are too small to be read when this is all transposed to 35mm film.
Oh.
Very small. They can't be read on a microfiche reader, even with a magnifying glass.
This is the one at the top of the page?
Yes. Do the Herald still send copies of the British Library newspaper as a compulsory thing?
I don't know. You know now all our back copies, because obviously we used to have these wonderful offices in Commercial Road, which was enormous, and now we're all in a very, very small office. So what we did was we handed over all the back copies, all the bound volumes of the paper to Heritage Eastbourne. So Joe Seaman, and they're all downstairs at the town hall now.
Well, some of them are Grand Hotels.
Some are in the reception area of the Mirabelle. Yeah, right. The 1960s. The 1960s. Carry on, Lionel.
Yeah, well, the question about are you still sending to the British Library is quite important, because if you're not, I take it that the greater amount of news that's now on the internet is not conserved in anywhere for people researching in 50 years' time. It's wiped off and a new set of news is put on.
No, we still have bound copies of the paper.
Do you?
Yeah.
Where are they stored and when are they available to anybody?
They would, I don't know actually. Do you ever remember sending copies of the paper to the British Museum, Peter?
Well, they used to be. They still are, Lionel, yes.
Someone.
There used to be an obligation to send it.
Yeah.
It's just that everyone has mothballed or chucked away their bound volumes now. Through lack of space, Eastbourne Library have thrown all theirs out, and what they don't have in film you can't look at. Right? They presuming that the East Sussex Record Office have kept their copies and they've got rid of theirs, presuming that the copies up at Colindale are kept, and they've now been mothballed and are not available to people at all. So, you know, everybody thinks that something else is
doing it. Well, I know we certainly, every week, we save a copy of the paper.
Anyway, the next thing is,
Moving on.
I subscribe to the Sussex Express.
Do you?
2 editions as well as the Herald, hoping that I'm going to get information from the area, but I now find absolute repetition of what's in the Herald in the other one. It's very annoying buying 2 papers, hoping you're going to get the news from the outer area. And why do we have in the Herald parish pump reports from Piddinghoe and places like that, right over there? It's really stupid, an Eastbourne newspaper having parish pump stuff so far away.
Years ago, we used to pay our parish pump correspondence.
I know.
And we don't do that anymore, so nobody wants to write it.
I haven't seen you put any adverts in recently to appeal for a replacement of boiling and copying bricks.
No, we have. I must admit we haven't, but nobody wants to do it for free anymore. In fact, when we halved the, I don't know whether you remember, Peter, we halved the rate, and a lot of them said, "Well, we're not doing it," and you can't blame them. I mean, if they half my wages, I wouldn't.
Find so much repetition.
I know. But again, Sussex Express, one reporter to do the Helsham edition, one reporter to do the Lewis edition.
I have both, hoping to find news of my subject.
No.
But the greatest annoyance, of course, is lots of photos that nobody's going to be able to identify somebody with.
So you think, names.
Because there's no captions. And when people
names.
And when people submit a copy to you,
you
never seem to ring back and say, my readers would like to know the answer to this, that and the other. You just bring the copy, which has absolutely no answers to the things that intelligent or reasonably intelligent thinking people want the answer to.
Like what? Give me an example.
Off the top of my head,
No.
It's regular.
Yeah.
It's a council report or anything.
Yeah.
The things for instance, there's a fire in Percival Road.
Yeah.
Somebody coming along to the library in 50. My granddad's house was on fire, and I've had this happen when I've been sitting at the research.
Yeah.
And they can't identify the address in Percival Road or whether it was their granddad's house that was on fire. You know, when people are doing research, they want to get more information.
Yeah, I get that, but we can only go on the information that we get.
Why don't you ever pick the phone up or whatever it is and say there's not adequate information to make it worthwhile printing?
Fire Brigade very rarely give us anything anymore. Police, we struggle to get stuff out of the police. I'm not making excuses, but because of, years ago when I first started, we used to go up to the police station for breakfast every day, and they'd tell us about every single break-in, breaking in Percival Road, etc., etc. Well, they don't do that anymore because they don't want people to. It's the perception of crime. They don't want to do that, and it's the same with the fire brigade. They used to have a list of current incidents. So if you heard a fire engine, you could look online. You could see, we're on our way to a fire in Percival Road. They don't bother with that anymore. They took it all down.
Talking about the fire brigade, it happened that during a 10-year period, the boss there decided that non-reporting of suicides would be a good thing. And in fact, the figures went down considerably once there was no reporting of it. Look,
I would say that was before the
Very, very good in it.
Yeah.
And I think, if you want to have a private fight outside, we'll all stand and watch.
We're not having a fight.
No.
Asking Annemarie questions.
Yeah.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
She invited the questions early on for 8 o'clock, so presumably the talk will finish, and the time's got to be filled somehow.
Oh, right. Okay, well, next time I need a time for it.
I think you're doing a wonderful job.
Thank you, Harry. Thank you.
No, he's asked very, very sensible questions, but you're moving away from your original thing into a new subject. I think you could probably go all night.
Hey.
But I don't.
The last time when we said that.
I know, yeah, that's right. Sorry.
Gentleman there.
In your weekly column, can you write about anything you want to, or are there any restrictions or indeed censorship?
I'm not allowed to write about gypsies.
Oh, that's all?
Gypsies. Because, travellers. Because No, I was told that a long time ago, actually, because they didn't want to be had up by the particular council.
Race relations.
Yeah, that's right. No, there isn't really any subject that's off limits, really. I mean, I do rant on about the street drinkers a lot because I don't have a problem with anybody that drinks, but these people are they're not homeless. I volunteer in the night shelter every winter, and the vast majority, homeless people don't beg. They don't beg. You've got these, they are professional criminals out there begging. They've got roofs over their head, and it just drives me mad. And I think they bring the town down to such a terrible. So yeah, I do rant about that quite a lot. I think last week I said, can we bring water cannons out and stuff like that? Because and they're shoplifting, they're dealing drugs, and it just brings the town down, and it's horrible. It's horrible. Yes.
Could you have a rant about the movement of the buses from one diesel alley to the new one in Cornfield Road, where I walked past 5 buses stationary yesterday, all
chucking out there,
running the whole time, and also the ridiculous bus stop outside Simply Patisserie. Everything gets tangled up on the roundabout. Could you have a little rant about that?
I will do. And the bus stop by the railway station. So if you're coming down Station Parade, and they're queuing up to get in that one silly bus stop. It's, that is it's very, very frustrating.
You had a rant about all the roadworks, didn't you, a few weeks ago?
I did. Well, it's only because I live between Stone Cross and West Ham, and we've got 183 houses going opposite our driveway. So we've got at least 17 weeks of temporary lights. So you get through those lights, and then you're coming up Seaside, and you've got the archery, and they just seem to be everywhere that week. Everywhere. So, yeah.
I'd like to ask a question, if I may. The huge cost of all the building that's gone on, you mentioned it earlier. Is there a period for amortization of the debt? In other words, when will the debt be paid off?
What, for the council?
When you have a building, it's always planned to. The Mandarin Hotel in Hong Kong, the entire cost of the building was covered in 3 years. They made their money back.
Yeah.
So how long is it going to take for the council to pay off what we owe?
Well, I think the Devonshire Quarter, I think that started off as 45 million. It's now up to 57 million. I know the LTA put in an awful lot of money into that building. Incidentally, I don't know whether you've been to the Devonshire Quarter Cafe Terrace Bar, which is lovely. I wrote about it the other week. It is lovely, but I found out when I was there on Saturday, during tennis week, it's going to be closed to the public. Yeah, it's going to be closed to the public because you can see, and obviously the LTA put so much money into it. Yes?
I actually asked that question this morning, and it won't be closed, but they're going to put some kind of barrier up so that you cannot see the tennis for nothing.
Well, that's interesting because they told me that it would be taken over by the LTA and they'd have the press in there.
Oh, well.
So,
That's two stories.
Yeah. But, and also, they're putting the Tourist Information Centre in there as well. Yeah. March. Yeah, so they're moving out. Sorry, it's all coming out tonight, isn't it?
Have you got a retirement pension?
It's coming out of Cornfield Road, and they're not sure. It's going into the Welcome Building.
Because what's so stupid about the Welcome Building is they've got to break this desk, but the booking, you have to go around the side.
Yeah.
There's nobody on the desk at all.
Yeah.
Sorry, are there any more questions? All right, gentlemen over there, we've got to bring this to a pitch. I think she's done marvellously well. Anyway, yes, sir. Oh, hang on. We've got to bring you one of the functioning or not.
Hello.
In Brighton, it's the Argos.
Yes.
In Eastbourne, it's the Herald. How did they get started and who started them? Any idea?
Peter. All I know is that Arthur Beckett was a great writer, and we were saying earlier on his grave is up at Friston Church, which is a lovely little church. I don't actually know how.
The first paper was the Eastbourne Chronicle.
Yes, first.
Started by Parker.
Ah.
Who had newspapers over a large part of Sussex. He was about 5 years ahead of T.R. Beckett, who bought it from Cyrus Clarke.
Oh gosh.
Who was a printer in the Seaside Road.
Ah.
Beckett eventually ended up taking over the Chronicle.
Yeah.
Chronicle had an office in South Street.
Really?
Where the Undertaker are.
Oh gosh. Interesting. I mean, I love I do like all the history, and there's so much stuff that I salvaged from the skip when we moved out. So, and obviously when I first started, we had typewriters, big clunky typewriters, big Olivetti typewriters. I've got the accounts books from T.R. Beckett, you know, back in the 1900s when they were invoicing people. It's all history.
I just wonder, was it like entrepreneurs, people, what started it?
No, I don't think it was it? It was just
Printers.
Printers.
Printers who had spare capacity recognised
Yeah.
an opportunity to sell advertising in a growing resort.
Yeah.
After the arrival of the
Ah.
Annemarie, do you keep in touch with housing developments in the area?
Oh yes, that's going back to planning.
I don't know whether it's in your influence, but just from where we are in William Park Drive, but there's an extension of development. I think it's 391 houses. I've got, I think it's Meadow View.
It's off Seven Sisters.
Yeah, it's off Seven Sisters. It comes between the two councils. It's on Eastbourne. It's Eastbourne Council land to get there, but it's actually on Wealdon. It was crazy.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, just to let you know that 391 houses. It wasn't. We weren't informed by any official body, but somebody put a leaflet in my door and said the council meeting was tomorrow. Would I go? And I did. And to have a voice at that meeting, the meeting was at 10:30, and I got there at 17 minutes past. And I went to the receptionist and I said, I'd like to speak on this. Too late.
You probably had to register the week before, did you?
They were given 2 minutes to talk, but they wouldn't allow me to speak on it. And the discussion of the Wealdon members was total rubbish. It was so bad that on the historic, not the historic point of view, but the features point of view, to give you the level of it, there was one saying, well, there was so much rubbish, I can't repeat it. But one said, I like chimneys, and someone said, I don't like chimneys. And yet things like, where are the vehicles, how many vehicles, are you going to have two ways in, are there compensation for the people who you're disrupting, etc. There were so many questions I wanted to ask. I was denied that, and I saw Stephen Lloyd, and he was given 2 minutes. And I just didn't have any ventilation about that at all, and I thought, where can I get satisfaction of this? At the moment, we're getting 60 movements of lorries past my door. I didn't know about it. Now, from my point of view, from a working point of view, bearing in mind the route,
yes,
I'm told it's 8 years of development here. They put that up for 8 years.
Oh my goodness.
But nobody told us.
And you didn't hear anything from the planning committee?
In retrospect.
Yeah.
And then I looked at the plans, and like your board up there, you couldn't see it. She was pointing arrogantly with an arrow. I said, I can't see it. I'm not supposed to speak, but I did. I can't see it. She said, look at the monitors at the side. But they're too small. I said, can't you turn the lights on? Oh, no, we wouldn't be able to see each other. Or worse, Yeah, health and safety. But I'm sorry to say that, but all I'm saying is I did write to this company here, and I've just joined to say, whether I can get any recourse to that through this body to make a point.
Yeah, I would just shout as loudly as I possibly could to my MP, really, but I don't know whether you will get any recourse. The one good thing, moving on, Wealdon is now under much greater control. Wealdon had its local plan thrown out 3 weeks ago, and that has massive implications because they are being watched now. They are constantly being watched, and if they start playing silly buggers again, as I call them, East Sussex County Council will come in as the planning authority because Wealdon couldn't carry on like they were. So, right.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very, very much. Yes, sorry.
Oh, sorry, Nicholas. How could I forget you?
Is it on? Can you? Okay. You give absolutely wonderful support to local communities, and I think that's your feather in the cap for Eastbourne.
Oh, that's nice.
But I'd personally like to thank you so much for all the support you've given us over the 10 years I've been involved at the Heritage Centre. You support our exhibitions amazingly well, and I just want to say a big thank you.
No bother, you're very welcome. That's what we're there for. I always say the Herald, every week, the Herald is a blank canvas and we can't fill it on our own. So anything that you've ever got, send my way.